mean, listen, if Rose can't share the board on the Titanic, you know, what can you expect of everybody else? He could have
Rose,
lived.
man. Honestly, Rose pisses me off. Okay, so we're going to try something new, and I'm going to say hi first. So, welcome everybody. This is What Have You Been Reading? We are on episode 9.
Yes.
Which is wild.
It's so exciting.
We're like super close to double digits. Whoa.
Yes.
Okay, so.
Which we just need, and we'd love to keep growing. So if you guys can follow us on Instagram and then subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. We're everywhere.
You guys, just come with us.
Come with us on this ride.
Like,
it's
seriously,
a fun journey.
We're not creepos. We're a little bit creepy. I'm not going to lie. If I get to the point where, like, I'm texting you and you've already agreed that you accept me as a human person, then I haven't started being creepy with you, but I will get there.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Like with Adrian, I'm not going to like be talking about our text messages or anything, but I will talk about my text messages. Like sometimes, remember that I told you that there's like this gif of this older man who looks creepy and he's like raising his eyebrows? That's like one of my favorite gifs.
I love it.
So I'll usually like, I'll be creepy, but you guys won't see that part of me because it will be edited out and you'll just hear
you get the polished version of ourselves.
Really fun stuff about books. So,
but yeah, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon Podcasts, and then we recently joined the YouTube podcast world.
Yeah, so please go all over the place. Please support us. We're two.
We're just gonna start begging.
Yeah,
come on, guys.
We're two ladies who are.
Oh, I don't like the term ladies.
Okay,
women.
We're two women.
People.
We're two human beings
there you go.
that are talking into a microphone, and just give us an audience. Damn.
So follow us. If you guys can leave a review, that would be super helpful to kind of create some traction on any of the platforms we have.
Yeah.
And that will motivate us to keep going because we are super excited to be passing that episode 10 mark next time.
Yeah.
Which I think is more than some people get to when they start podcasts. So we're in it. We're in it for the long run. Yeah?
I'm in it.
I'm in it to win it. Okay, so let's just get started. Karla, what have you been reading?
Okay, so I've been really trying to get back into scary, and there was this one, I was scrolling, and I saw a book cover, and it was creepy looking. I was like, holy shit, this is going to scare the crap out of me, right? And it was Diavola.
Which sounds devilish.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I started reading it, and it was about a family reunion.
Is one of the family members a devil?
No, I think that the place where they're all going to for their reunion is going to be haunted.
Oh.
But I got bored super fast, and I didn't really give it a chance.
Did you?
I know that I didn't
DNF
give it a chance. I did.
Yeah.
Very early on, and I want to go back.
I'm here to encourage people to DNF books. Do not finish if you're not enjoying it.
What's up with that? What? You've been trying to convince me to stop reading.
No, have I? I don't think so.
Yes. You're like, just don't read it. Just stop reading it. Just you don't have to finish it.
I think because there's such a stigma on like finishing a book all the way through. And I have seen it more and more in the bookish community, like on Instagram and stuff, this encouragement to just, if you're not feeling it, don't feel obligated to finish something. If you're not enjoying it, just because you started a book doesn't mean you have to finish it, right?
However, had I not continued on my journey where I was kicking and screaming the whole time and just being a prissy little bitch about it, we never would have gotten to the point where we were talking so much about the ACOTAR books.
Yes, this is true.
And also, even though I'm not like, oh my God, a Sarah J. Maas fan.
Yes.
I do.
Sorry, Andy.
Sorry. I do. enjoy the different kind of characters that she presents us with.
Yes.
And like all the different personalities that it's just like, it's a good experience in that you finish something and you're able to have conversations about it. And I'm going to go back to Diavola at some point.
Okay.
At some point, I am going to go back. So, because I didn't get to read that.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted something after that was kind of like not great, not exciting, not super huge, very short.
Yeah.
And easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
Yeah. I started reading, what the heck was it?
Nuclear War?
No, that was not,
Mountains.
that's not easy peasy lemon squeezy.
I was like, that's an intense title for easy peasy. Mountains Made of Glass?
Yeah, I saw that it was like from a popular author apparently, but
do you know who that author is?
Something St. Clair. Oh, you know what? It's Scarlett St. Clair, and I know that because I read Gone with the Wind and Scarlett.
You're right. Scarlett St. Clair.
So,
I like the cover. Looks pretty.
Let me see.
It's got little like gold.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's skulls.
Oh, I don't remember that. It's like 200 pages or less than.
Okay.
It's super short, which
was exactly what you needed.
It was in terms of the length.
Yeah.
It's a fairy tale kind of retelling.
What fairy tale? Like a specific fairy
there's
tale
a
or
little
just
bit
in
of
general?
Rumpelstiltskin.
Okay.
There's a little bit of Beauty and the Beast, kind of. And it wasn't good.
Like, how do I put this nicely? I'm just going to say it.
It wasn't good. So I will say, I'm sure that there's a demographic for this kind of story.
Yeah.
I keep trying.
It wasn't yours.
I'm really trying to be more open to other kinds of books. And he's a fairy elf prince something. I don't know.
3.6 stars on Goodreads, which is but 4,000 reviews. That's a lot of people reading it.
That's what
whether
I'm
it's
saying.
good or
Like,
bad.
it seemed to be like from a popular author. So I was like, this is going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be good, right?
I think I mentioned this before, how kind of the books that seem to be super popular that I get excited about are usually not my favorite reads.
Yeah. But
Which I have one to talk about later on too. That was
wasn't
like that.
great. Okay. So you've mentioned jalapeno poppers.
Just jalapeno. I mean, I do love jalapeno poppers when we go to the pizza place down the street. But I put a jalapeno warning on my Instagram when I'm like talking about a book that has some spicy scenes.
Jalapeno
Now
poppers.
I want to say jalapeno poppers.
I think that should be our new thing.
I think it should be the jalapeno with the little explosion confetti
yeah.
sign emoji.
Well, okay, and also jalapeno poppers have cheese, and I feel like jalapeno like scenes
Have cheese.
but they can be cheesy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I like jalapeno poppers. I'm gonna use it.
And it's spicy and cheesy.
Yeah. So this, I would say it's like, I don't know, like 1.5, maybe
Jalapeno
2
poppers?
jalapeno poppers.
Okay. On a scale of 5?
Yeah, on a scale of 5. So like she gets forced to go live with this elf prince guy, and in the book it makes mention that she has like fairy blood also. Okay. And then that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing that like really bothers me. That like, it's like, if it's not gonna matter.
Was it the apples?
Yes, the freaking apples, man.
And what was?
Once upon a broken heart. Yeah. Oh, yo. Okay, so yeah, it's like, I feel like if you're gonna make mention of something and it's gonna like supposedly be like an important factor in this person's life,
circle back to it.
Please have a reason. Like, don't just pepper me with crap, you know?
This is why I feel like I'd be a good book editor sometimes. Yeah. Like, someone should have noticed that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you never explained why this bloodline thing was worth mentioning. Yeah. All right.
So then the reason that I say that it has jalapeno poppers is because like, even though she hates him, is because like
they have
like
cheesy sex.
They have like, and it's quid pro quo sex.
I I will say most of the romances I read now are quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Or
What's up with that?
even not the girl going down on the guy, but the guy goes down on the girl all the time, because going back to Andy's conversation, it's written by women.
Yeah. No, she blows him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he reciprocates.
I don't remember if he reciprocates.
Oh, why were you saying quid pro quo then?
Well, quid pro quo because he's giving her, because remember it was Rumpelstiltskin-y?
Oh.
So he is giving her a letter of his name so that she can guess it. Yeah.
Oh, this is like icky quid pro quo. I thought we were talking jalapeno quid pro quo.
No. It's not like if you do this for me, sexual favor, I get this from you, sexual favor.
See, I was going in a much more romantic-y.
No. So that was interesting.
Ew.
I was like, oh, look at this.
This is definitely an adult version of Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes, it is. And Rumpelstiltskin also seems to me to be a little like, what are those things called? The little ugly things.
Like elf,
it's not a cute elf.
No. It's not an elf either.
A troll.
Yeah.
It's a troll. Like in my head, a Rumpelstiltskin figure is an ugly troll.
Yeah, I think you're right. I can't find a quick answer, but
yeah,
German fairy tale.
Is it? I think
right?
Yeah.
The Brothers Grimm. Those are it's German. But
so he has to get her to love him and also guess his name.
Okay.
Like she has to guess his name with love in her heart. And it's like,
but give me a blowjob.
Yes.
Okay.
But like
this is how I will get
they're
her to love
attracted
me.
to each other and stuff, but like also she hates him.
Yeah.
And
this is where the Beauty and the Beast part comes in.
Exactly. Yeah. Because she has X amount of time in order to fall in love with him.
Yeah.
Or
the
else
rose.
if nobody says his name, then it's kind of like if you don't have a name, then you're forgotten. Which
makes me think of Coco. The Disney movie Coco.
You know what? I really liked that movie, and I was going to say
cute.
that in this book it's hella lame.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe Disney just did a better job presenting the idea.
Yo, Coco messed me. Oh my God. The scene in Coco where there's that bridge of the flowers.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Who would have thought that a bridge would have gotten me? But when I saw the bridge with the flowers, I was like,
the marigolds.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the part that got me. Oh, and then, Coco. The abuelita. Oh my God, so cute.
So cute.
But anyway, so would I recommend this? No, I would not.
Okay.
The storyline wasn't that great. I didn't like it that much. The sex scenes kind of were not great either. Yeah. The jalapeno poppers were stale.
Not popping.
They were stale poppers.
I'm so excited to see where these jalapeno poppers take us. You're like, this is going to be something that just grows and grows throughout each episode.
At some point, we're going to get garlic bread.
The jalapenos grow, guys.
There's going to be pepperoni pizza slices. Okay, so anyway, what have you been reading?
I have a lot. I'm going to start with one book that I'm super excited to talk about. It's called The Will of the Many by James Islington. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But I heard about it through some other podcast or blog or something, and I had it on my list for a while, and it finally came up on my Libby Reads. So it was a loan. And oh my God, once I started it, I could not put it down.
Okay.
So it takes place in kind of like Greek Roman times, but not in reality. I think it's called an epic fantasy.
Okay.
And after reading it, to me, it's kind of like Game of Thrones and Hunger Games. Let that sit in for a while. Game of Thrones minus the sex. There's no jalapenos in this book, but a lot of like political like moves, politics, revolution, civilization type stuff. And then there's definitely a challenge between people that are trying to win this game or whatever.
Okay.
So kind of Greek Roman times, but in a made up timeline. So epic fantasy, kind of Greek Roman, because they wear, I guess not like togas, but I guess something like that. And they have carts and that kind of stuff. So definitely back in time.
Such a badass cart.
Yeah. You deck it out. But there's some fantasy elements to it. So they're in this world where people cede their will. So that's what it's called, the will of the many.
Okay.
So literally you have pyramid schemes. So there's different pyramids, and you have someone at the very top who has all of the people below him ceding power to him, and that's literally like their will to live. So the people that are at the very bottom are ceding their will to all of these people above them. So they're the weakest and the bottom of society, and they walk around kind of like zombies, like they're really tired. They age a lot more quickly because they're having to do their own life, plus they're basically giving their life up to the person above them.
So the working class.
Exactly. And then that person is ceding a little bit to the person above. But as you get higher and higher, you're ceding less of your will, and you're receiving all of this will from people below you. So if you're higher up, you're super powerful. You're really strong. Like if you punch someone and you're at that higher level, you're using like the strength of all the people below you. And then there's this thing called sappers, which when people go to prison, they're put on a sapper and it like sucks their energy out. And they use that energy to power things, to power like vehicles or wagons.
Does it zap
clocks.
them to the point of death?
They're basically not there at all. And they're reserved usually for like political prisoners who are having a sentence. So like 2-3 years or whatever. And then you can get out of the sapper. From what I read, I mean, you return to normal life after you're done, but you've given up, a few years of your life without doing anything. You just lay there and you're kind of comatose. And that's the opening scene, is in a prison, which is pretty dark, and a dark scene, and dark, I think. Yeah, they took a lantern down there, so I think both apply.
Okay.
But it follows this one character whose name is Viz, and his family was killed because they were higher up. He was a prince, and his dad was like the governor or king. I guess he was a king, obviously, if Viz was a prince. But they got killed when I forget what they're called, but this other government kind of took over.
Top pyramid person.
So Viz's family and dad were the last ones that were not using will. So their country or island, I think it was an island, was refusing to buy into that form of life. And then the civilization, whatever, I forget what it's called. But anyhow, that government basically came in, killed his family.
I mean, when you think about it, if you're not doing it, of course you're going to be weaker than someone that's exploiting a crap ton of people.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the book follows Viz in his kind of quest to, he's taken on an assumed identity, and he's trying to kind of work around the system so that he doesn't have to cede his power, and then also kind of climb up some way to either avenge his family or kind of find a way to eke out of it and not be a part of it. But there's the census is an intense thing. Like they know exactly where everyone is because there's specific counts of people. So I feel like
the census is an intense thing regardless. Like, I have been harassed about the damn census. I'm like, please.
Yeah, I think the census in this book is like 1,000% more important because they're counting on knowing where everyone is to account for these pyramids and how much power they have to control things and to... I have to say one very important thing.
Yeah. The census is very important in real life.
It is.
Because y'all, if you dodge census counters, please don't, because the census is actually super important in deciding where money goes.
For sure.
And
representation.
Yes. This money is for programs within your community. So it is very important to be counted. That is my
Karla.
Public service announcement. It is super important to be counted. And if this ever becomes like a podcast that many people hear, different communities hear, different kind of demographics of people, it is very important if you are in a smaller demographic that you be counted, because obviously you want programs that will help your demographic. Like if you're Latino, if you're a woman, if you're disabled, any sort of
like minority or disenfranchised communities
is very important that you get counted, because that's the only way your community is going to be helped. So please participate in the census.
So Census Bureau, whenever you want to send that sponsorship to us. But yeah, it's a great, and then he ends up going to this school that's for like elite diplomat, the children of elite diplomats. And there's a contest within that academy to graduate, and you have to be like the top person. And then, I don't know, a lot happens. It's a very large book. It's the one that Mike walked out with. It's 639 pages. But I was hooked the whole time. So you're saying like that book was 200 pages and you quickly lost interest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get through it.
I was impressed that this held my attention from beginning to end. And I never got that like wrap it up feeling. You know, like, I just want to just get to the end, figure it out. I mean, there's some parts obviously where it's constantly one thing after another, but it never felt annoying to me.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like there's those books where like, can this person possibly be shit on anymore? You know? But I loved it. I really enjoyed it. This is book 1 of a series.
Do you know, does it end? Has it an end already?
But no, so book 2 was just sent for editing.
Oh, snap.
So on the Instagram page, they posted a reel and it's 900 pages for book 2.
I'm not afraid of those.
Yeah, I loved it. Again, no spice. It's not typically a genre.
It's not like a thing. Like, it's not necessary for stuff.
Well, some people, like to know whether there is or isn't. But I love that it was totally different from anything that I've read recently. And the ending was a total cliffhanger. Okay. Like, it was, like, I read those last few lines, and I was like, oh, shit.
You know, I don't like to get into series that
unless
are
they're
not
done.
Finished.
I know. This is why I bought it. I ended up buying the book.
Okay.
Because it was a Libby loan. And I was like, it's going to be so long probably before book 2 comes out. And I kind of want to be able to either reread or reference.
You're going to reread it?
Honestly, it was so good.
Okay. Did you ever reread Assistant to the Villain?
No, I have them right here. And I got the second book.
Oh my God, I really want to read it. Okay.
But I'm not letting myself start it until I finish some of the other books that I have. But I got it, and I spoke so much about it while I was reading it to Jeff that now he's reading it, and he's hooked. Which is it's fun to have someone at home to talk about. But it's also hard because I'm trying not to spoil anything. So trying to stay in line.
Yeah, and you and your spoilers. I remember I really wanted spoilers, and you would always be like, no, I'm not going to do spoilers. I'm not going to tell you.
Well, if someone on here wants to read that book, I don't want to give I want to give them the chance to read it if they want to.
Fine. I'm going to ruin everything for everyone.
So that's The Will of the Many by James Islington, which I loved. And then right before that, I read The Wedding Engagement by Zoe Allison, which is an advanced reader copy. The publication date is October 8th. And it's like a cheesy, romantic one that takes place in the Scottish Highlands. Scotland, which was cute. It was a book 2. I read book 1 last year, the Xmas holidays. So it was nice to see kind of the same characters that are now side characters. It was cute. It wasn't great. Okay. I don't think. But it had all the tea. So many tea references. They were constantly fixing cuppas. Karla's shaking her head. She's judging me so hard right now. Okay, here's what I didn't like about it. Okay. Because it was cute and I enjoyed it. I hate when there's miscommunication. Like,
yeah, you've said that.
Miscommunication
you don't,
trope.
and like you don't.
I don't like that. I don't, because I'm like, they kept misinterpreting how the other person felt, or assuming they knew how the other person felt.
But people do that all the time.
I guess
people do that all the time, Alex. Yeah. It's written because it's true.
He's looking at her lovingly, and she's like, "Oh, maybe he just has bad gas." I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a writer, obviously, but it seems like there's obvious contextual clues that are included there, and they're.
Oh, I don't like it when it's miscommunication because you're dumb.
Or like super insecure, right? They're like super insecure about how the other person feels, which you're right. I do think that happens in real life and you don't know necessarily how someone else feels. But I don't know. I feel like it happened multiple times. And I'm like,
Yeah. How do you avoid miscommunication in real life?
Talking?
Well,
I guess.
I mean, but like it's very difficult for some people to be direct about their feelings or
I agree.
whatever. So
One
I
of
feel
the
like
best
that's
things
one of the reasons that
that Jeff and I
happens.
did in our relationship when we first got together was forcing me to communicate.
Oh,
Because
so see that maybe that's why you don't like it because you're being forced.
maybe.
Yeah, okay. So you're like you recognize it
Could be.
and you're like,
But
screw
it's
that.
great. Like, if I have an issue, I feel very comfortable now talking to Jeff about it. I think we're both very vocal about when something's bugging us. Sometimes I might need a cooling off period. If I'm too upset or heated about something, I have to kind of wait to cool off. So I'm not super emotional about it. But I'll always circle back and be like, this thing was really bothering me yesterday and this is why. But it took a while to get there. And you're right. I don't think that it's something that everyone knows how to do.
That'll be $250 for this therapy session.
But it was cute. And again, I like the continuity of characters in different books. So it was great for what it was. And then I'm currently reading Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo, who also wrote The Most Fun We Ever Had. And I read that book before, and it was one of these family drama books. And this one's the same. It's almost feeling... It's,
Repetitive.
in some of the themes, I think it is. It's also just not hooking me. And I don't know if it's just from coming off of The Will of the Many, like having such an intense book and then kind of diving into just a family everyday drama.
Yeah.
I feel like I was so much into that world, and now maybe coming back to like a normal reality book is hard for me to get into. I'm also just not, I feel like the main character's not really doing it for me yet.
Okay.
But I'm going to stick with it. It's been on my list for a really long time. This is that book that I was mentioning earlier that it's been coming up a lot. I've been seeing it come around a lot. It's gotten really good reviews. So I'm like, maybe I'm going to stick with it. I do want to keep at it for a little bit longer, but I don't know if it will end up being as good as I expected it to be.
You know, you don't have to finish it.
I know. I do wonder, I'm curious though, if I keep reading it, if I'll get more into it once I'm more involved in it. Because again, I don't know if I'm not liking it because of my like mood right now, right? And being kind of in a different mental space. And it's a Libby loan, so I feel like I need to read it
Do
now.
you get a chance to, what's it called? When you are almost up on your...
Renew?
Yeah.
Depends on if there's other people waiting. And this one has a ton of people waiting. And I had to wait forever. Like I was on the list for a long time.
Read the book.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to read it. I will. What else? Do you have any others?
Yeah.
Go.
So,
Wait, Karla. What else have you been reading?
Okay. So after reading that like Womp Womp book, I was looking for a more serious book, and I started reading Nuclear War.
Oh, this is Nuclear War. Yeah.
By Annie
Not
Jacobson.
the super easy read.
No, it's not. And I thought that it was going to be straight out fiction.
Okay.
And I, to this day, because I had to like pause it, because I realized that maybe I should start reading what they're about before I get into them.
Look at you.
Because I didn't realize that it was by a journalist.
Oh, okay.
So it's very much based on stuff that's real.
Yeah, their experiences.
And that's one that I Googled it because I was reading it and I was like, wait, this feels
like something that's happened.
Too real. For this to not have some sort of base in reality.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that I thought I was reading fiction, and I think that it is going to be fiction later on in the book.
Okay.
But like the part where I'm at, I had to press pause on this book because it's talking about, and I don't know if I'm too stupid to figure it out, but I think that it's talking about stuff that has been declassified.
Oh.
And it's all real.
Yeah.
So like it's telling you in this year, this is the amount of nuclear bombs that we had.
Yeah.
In this year, this is the amount of nuclear bombs that other countries had and that,
dang.
you know, the United States
Yeah.
had. This is the year that they had this meeting to talk about, like, if we went to nuclear war, this is the amount of people that would be dead. These would be the collateral damages.
See, isn't it so interesting when you read stuff like that then you want to Google it and find out?
No.
I
don't want to.
You don't want to know.
And find out. I don't. I feel like my head is already, like, very primed to be
running for a
in
bunker?
a state of panic all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah.
Which is why I paused it. Because when I was looking at this book to start it, it says nuclear war, a scenario. So I was like, okay, a scenario. And then all of a sudden, it's talking to me about, like, the stuff that actually happened.
Yeah.
And it tells you about two people that were in Japan. And how one of the girls that survived one of the bombs, how she was pulled out, and then the building that she was in, which had other little girls inside, became engulfed in flames. And she knew that all the little girls that she had been in there with her were now, if they weren't dead already, they were being burned alive now. Ugh. And then it talks about this other guy who was at home, and when he comes to, he's asking himself where his wife is, and he goes outside and he trips on a head.
Ugh.
So it's like, I when I was reading these things, I was like, I'm gonna have to pause, because I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. I was expecting more of, like, a survivalist kind of book.
I have a hard time with things that they can be too real.
Well, because apparently these things happen.
Right, yeah. But I've talked to, like I'll be telling Jeff, like, oh, I'm having such a hard time reading this or that book. And he's like, oh, well, is it fiction? I go, yeah, but I think it's based on something that really happened. So even if that is not 100% fact, it's still based, like, what you're reading is still something, or that could have happened to someone. It's still within the realm of possibility. And that is so hard to read sometimes. Yeah. Was it The White Chrysanthemum? Did you ever read that?
No, I don't think so. Was it about the Korean War, maybe?
Yes.
I think so.
Like women being in these homes where they, like, the soldiers would come. Yeah. That was really hard to read.
I can't even. Yeah, I remember reading that and just being like, not good. Not good.
Yeah, because it's not just this made up story. You're thinking, oh, this is about, this did happen to a person at some point in time.
It's
person
historical
experienced
fiction.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah.
So are you currently paused?
I am currently paused.
Yeah.
I will go back. Apparently the scenario, oh my God, it tells you the weight of the bombs.
Okay.
It tells you how many seconds it would take for impact. It tells you how many seconds it would take for the United States to be aware. I mean, it's just, it's so specific in the terrible information that it's giving you, which is super interesting. But at the same time, it's like it's so hard because these things exist. Yeah. And we are in this constant danger. Yeah. And the fact that we're in this constant danger and it's all based on humans, like, human decision. Right. Is what will cause
our demise
if it is ever a thing that happens. And that's just wild. So I had to pause. Yeah. And I went all the way back. I went back to Gone with the Wind. I was like, you know what? Yay. Let's just go back to Gone with the Wind.
Good comfort read.
Yes, it is. And I realized I had never paid attention to how racist this book is. Ooh. Oh my God. I don't know how. But
you've never noticed before?
I mean, yes, there was obviously racism. It's, the Confederate South. But wow. Shit. I still like the book.
Yes.
I think I like the book just because I read it at such a young age that it's one of those nostalgia books for me.
Yeah.
Kind of
Has
like
it
the movies
lowered down at all in your like esteem for it? Not that it has to. I'm just curious.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
Because the characters are the characters have always been interesting to me.
Yeah.
And this book makes me laugh sometimes. I have chuckled at the book.
Yeah.
Because there's just some
funny.
stuff that like they say that's really funny or that they're acting a certain way and then it tells you like their inner thoughts and it's like that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it made me wonder if the author was from the South. I have never looked into this.
Yeah.
And I won't. My curiosity ends here. It made me wonder if the author was from a diehard, formerly Confederate family. Because it is very racist. It is a very racist book. They say the N-word, especially from the middle, I think, forward. They say the N-word a lot.
Like all the characters? Like even the characters that you really like?
Yeah.
Is it just such a common term? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The first time that Scarlett O'Hara says it, she's surprised at herself because she was brought up to not say it.
Yeah.
And then she says it. And she kind of takes it in tow the same way as when she kills a man. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, I committed murder. And it's kind of like, it's kind of in the same vein. Like, and that's one of the things that I've always appreciated about her character, that she, not that she says the N-word, but like that she...
That'll be the clip that that goes viral.
Shit.
Whatever it takes, guys.
Follow us on Spotify. So, and on YouTube. She does the things that need to get done.
Yeah.
And I have always appreciated that in her as a character. She doesn't care about societal norms. She doesn't care about the fact that she's a woman.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about the fact that she's being looked down by her peers. She decides that she doesn't want to be hungry, that she doesn't want to be poor, and fuck anybody that gets in her way. I like that about her.
Yeah.
She's not a good person. I'll tell you what. She's not a good person. She's not. But I think that in circumstances where like it's a do or die. Yeah. I don't think you can be a good person. And this actually reminds me of, and I've talked about this before, but this other book that was written by, I'm going to not say his name right, Elie Wiesel.
Oh, Eli Wiesel. Eli.
Yes, yeah. Eli Wiesel.
Wiesel?
Sorry, but it's about...
Sorry, Eli, I know you're listening.
But, you know...
It was World War II, right? Like the Holocaust?
Yes, and they're inside of the train cars.
Yeah.
And they're not getting fed, and the soldiers
It's do or die, right?
It's do or die.
Yeah.
And in the book...
It's do or die.
The son kills the father over a piece of bread.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to do that, apparently. I mean, thank God I've never been in that kind of situation, and hopefully I'm never in that kind of situation, because I don't know what kind of person I would become.
I mean, listen, if Rose can't share the board on the Titanic, you know, what can you expect of everybody else? He could have
Rose,
lived.
Man. Honestly, Rose pisses me off. Did you see that they did like like they did a thing where like they tested it to see if Jack could have survived?
He could have, right?
And I feel like he could have. Yeah, I feel like I was vindicated in that. I was like, yeah, she just sucks.
She just needed to move over a little bit.
Anyway, so I love the book.
Yeah.
I'm super sorry to say that I like this book still. It is very questionable in terms of some of the stuff that's in it.
Yeah. Is it just using the N-word, or is there's additional?
No, there's other stuff.
I don't know that I've ever read it. I know my mom had it when I was little. I remember seeing it in our house. But
there's other stuff. There's the way that she describes people's hands sometimes. Mm-hmm. She calls them paws instead of hands.
Yeah.
Even when she's describing a servant that she likes.
Yeah.
So that's like
crazy,
super
right?
fucked
To be
up.
so in depth into a way of thinking that,
like, you don't even realize that, like,
it's demoralizing or demeaning.
Yeah.
Like this person that you probably care about.
It's dehumanizing. And I didn't know if that was a choice that the author made of showing that of these people, or if that's how she wrote because that's how she thinks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So was she showing the racism that was like so bred into these people?
To try to put it on display? Mm-hmm. Or are you saying that that's okay?
How you think these
interesting.
These people that are being loyal to this family, mm-hmm. even when the war is over and they are now freed, there's a group of servants that stay. And even then, she continues to say things about their intellect.
Yeah. It's crazy. That was the time, right? That was accepted and thought to be okay.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
It's wild. So I didn't know if that was the character or if that was the author.
When was the last time you read it? Because this is one of your go-tos, right?
I feel like it's been a decade.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's been a really, really long time. Maybe
it's interesting
more.
To see how far we've come as a society and as people, right?
I think we're regressing.
I think so.
Yes, we are.
I think maybe in some ways. But I mean that you're reading this and noticing this mm-hmm. for the first time. Yeah. Right? That maybe 10 years ago you weren't in the same place in life or looking at it from the same perspective. That now you're looking at it differently.
Noticing that it's kind of questionable.
Yeah.
That I like the book. But it's such a good story.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
I wonder if they'll come out with like a
movie?
No, you know, like a modern... No, I don't want to say a modern adaptation. That's not what I mean. Like the same style of writing and same book, but maybe without some of those parts.
It's weird because...
Or changing those parts to
something that's a little bit more politically correct.
Yes.
How? It's a bunch of plantation owners.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's a difficult thing to sell.
I'm going to hold back from making any jokes because there's no way they're going to come out right.
So,
I'm glad you kind of enjoyed your palate cleanser, though, as much as it was
it's 48 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how long we haven't recorded.
That you were able to listen to the whole...
Yeah, I listened to 48 hours of book.
It's been more than 48 hours, guys.
It has. I like the characters. There's some really funny things that they say. Well, okay, so Scarlett O'Hara steals husbands.
I keep thinking of Scarlett Johansson. Maybe she would play a good Scarlett O'Hara.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So she steals her sister's boyfriend because she needs to pay the taxes somehow. Okay? And then the husband, Frank, he's like... He now has this wife who has way more gumption and will mm-hmm. than what he is cool with.
Yeah.
And there's a part where...
Settle down, my little pet.
I loved it. He calls her... he basically tells her she's a silly little thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're so cute.
Sometimes Frank... This is a quote that I loved. Sometimes Frank sighed, thinking he had caught a tropic bird, all flame and jewel color, when a wren would have served him just as well. In fact, much better.
Hey, is there a scene where she's like trying to get food, like potatoes out of the ground or something?
She does
have
have to go to...
memory of that scene in the movie.
She has to go to a neighbor's plantation because when she comes home, everything is gone. All of the servants have fled except for, I think it's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And she now has to take care of herself, Melly, and her new baby, which Melly is the wife of the guy who she's in love with.
Oof.
And her 2 sisters who have typhoid fever and are recovering.
It's a lot of pressure.
Dad and the servants that stayed.
You know what I have to say to that? Put a carrot on it, man. That's all I can think about. Put a carrot on the ground.
On the ground. But yeah, so I 100% would still recommend this book.
Yeah.
It is so well written. It tells you some of the stuff that's happening in the war, like when they're trying to hear about whether their men are dead or alive. You hear about the battles that are being fought, the generals that are at those battles. It kind of gives you, it's a little bit of historical stuff too. And that's super interesting, which I am usually not interested in this kind of stuff. But it is, it's engaging throughout the whole thing.
There is a song, I think it's called Dearest Sarah by, let me see if this is it. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Sorry. By Uncle John, I think is the band. No, Goodnight Texas is the band. But it's based on a letter that, I don't know if it was Confederate or Union, but that a captain wrote to his wife the night before they were going into a battle. So he writes this letter to his wife and saying, like, I don't know, it was just so poetic. I even looked up the real letter. They have it like in historical archives or whatever, and the band has the lyrics of the actual letter on their website. And it's just so poetic, like how people used to write letters before, right? It's not just like, hey, hot stuff. But he's like, there's a cool breeze blowing and it just carries, something that made me write a letter to you. I don't know how things are going to go tomorrow. But I have a bad feeling we do know. They do. It was a famous battle where like they were just decimated. Oh. But he just had this feeling and he wrote this letter to his wife and he's telling her like about raising his kids and like he's sorry he's not going to be there.
Shit.
And and I listen to the song and I just get goosies every time. And then it's one of those like, oh, this was a real thing. This was a real person, a real wife and you think that's times hundreds, thousands, whatever,
There's a scene where I was so sad because Scarlett comes upon Ashley is the man that she's in love with throughout the whole book and she can't have, okay?
Yeah.
So she sees Ashley's dad as an old man going off to war because obviously the Confederates are losing, as we all know. We all know how the war turns out. So the Confederates...
Gosh, stop spoiling everything, Karla.
So she sees Mr. Wilkes on a horse that is a prized possession for another one of her plantation owners. There's a plantation owner's wife who loves horses. She's a horse girl. And Nellie, the horse, was just her favorite. And she loved her and she never would have given her up. And the fact that now Mr. Wilkes is on that horse, which is obviously borrowed, going off to war is like, oh shit. Ugh. And Ashley's wife is pregnant and she's saying bye to Mr. Wilkes and he's like, and he tells her that he would have liked to have met his grandchild. And it's like, oh my God, there's so many people that went off like from both sides because like, I think that a family's family.
Yeah.
You're going to love your family. And
unless you have a narcissistic parent and then you can say goodbye.
Yeah. Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.
So it's just crazy that like so many people lost, just whole generations were affected by this on both sides. And then also like they willingly went off to a losing cause. At that point, it was a losing cause.
This guy was on the Union side because he said, I'm fighting for democracy and that's what I'm dying for.
Okay.
And he talks about why he left his family and why he was willing to do that, right? Like he believed so much in what he was fighting for this country that he was willing to leave knowing
Wow.
the cost. And I remember talking about this with Jeff. Like, I can't imagine a scenario, thankfully, right, in our times, where I would say, I believe in this so much that I'm leaving my kids.
And that's also because of where you live.
Exactly. I mean, you know, look at Ukraine. It's not,
Yeah.
it happens now. And absolutely is what we talked about, is that there's thankfully nothing for us here that would be like, oh, I believe in this so much and I believe in this cause so much that I'm willing to leave my children and my husband or my wife.
Yeah.
But also, wow,
Yeah.
I don't know that I could do it. Even if we did have something like that.
I feel
Like if we had something that called us to a higher purpose.
honestly, no.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And I say that because I'm a selfish person.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know that there's anything that would change that much.
Yeah.
Like it's me and mine. It's me and mine.
Yeah.
Yikes, that sucks. I feel like no.
No.
No, it's
I will
me
not be
and
walking
mine.
up
It's
into a
me and
war.
mine.
But yeah, crazy times. Anything else on Gone with the Wind?
Yeah, it's a really good book.
That's great.
I did want to talk about something, but now I can't remember. Alex, dang it.
Okay, I'll go. My last book, I had an ARC, an advanced reader copy of a sequel for, did you ever read The House in the Cerulean Sea? Mm-mm. It's by TJ Klune, and it's about this orphanage that's on kind of like an island, I think, that has like mythical creatures, kind of like children that are, you know, there's obviously an element of magic. So one of them is I don't think a troll is the right word, but she's like a little garden gnome, right? And there's another one that's the Antichrist. So he's supposed to literally be the Antichrist. So there's a handful of kids in this orphanage that society doesn't want out and about. And there's, you know, a guy that takes over the orphanage and taking care of them. And so that's the whole story of A House in the Cerulean Sea, is protecting these kids in the orphanage.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
It's great. You're giving me judgy eyes.
I'm not.
I
I was
mentioned the
actually
gnome.
thinking that sounds interesting. See, that's a
It's super cute.
miscommunication right there.
So there's the guy that is in charge of the orphanage, and then there's someone from the ministry of the government that's supposed to come and review them. And then those two men fall in love, which is super cute. So it follows also kind of like their love story. Spoiler, I guess. Okay. Shit. It's been out for a while. So there's a sequel coming out called Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and it was approved. I requested an advanced reader
sing.
copy.
Somewhere beyond the sea.
Fantastic. And I was so excited, and I started reading it, and it's just getting into the story, right? It's a very opening and setting the scene of where they are in time and what's happening. Like, I'm trying to figure out where in the storyline this is in relation to the previous book. And then the percentage just starts going very fast. I was like 70%, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, this is just the opening of it. And then I realized it was an excerpt of it. I got so bummed. So now I got to read like just the very beginning of this book. But it looks like it's going to be really good. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm excited to get that one when it comes out. But I was so bummed. I go, oh, that makes a lot more sense, because there's no way this book is almost done.
I found what I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, you were talking about how you didn't know if you could do that, if you could go off to war.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, when the war has not been yet announced, Rhett Butler is like, y'all are gonna lose.
Yeah.
Okay. And he says this at like a huge barbecue, and everybody's like up in arms about how he thinks that they're gonna lose. And he tells them, you don't have, you know, the iron mills, you don't have the industry that the North has. And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, so I have not looked at this period of time to see why they thought that it was so important to fight this war as the South. As the South, when you do not have the infrastructure that you need in order to win a war, you are just going on your ego.
Yeah.
Then, on top of that, they double down and they send their old men and their young children because they are running out of able-bodied men. And they go off to a losing cause, again, on ego.
Well, it was also on principle, right, of slavery, and you have all of these plantations across the South that rely on it.
Right. But you're already at the point where you're starving at home. You're starving.
Okay, so this isn't at the beginning.
No.
Okay.
I'm talking about toward the end of the war, where men were not able-bodied. They were already taking...
Well, you should already recognize that you're not going to win.
Exactly.
Got it.
And now you're sending your younger children to war, and you're sending your old men to war.
There was also, was it conscription, right? Like, were you forced to go kind of in Mulan? Remember Mulan?
They did not. No, they were not being
They were
forced.
all volunteers?
They were going because it was the...
There was no draft?
It was basically the National Guard were the ones that stayed behind to protect them. But they had signed up for it too, and they believed for that cause as well. And it's they believed in that cause as well. They were going into death knowingly.
Yeah.
And it's are you freaking kidding me? And then it talks about the Reconstruction after the war.
Yeah.
Which I saw a parallel between how the South was treated as with how Germany was treated after World War I.
Yeah.
Which alienated Germany, and it's one domino after the next that led a cycle into World War II.
Yeah.
There is so much hatred. I mean, we still see Confederate flags now. Mm-hmm. Would that not have been the case if
they had been treated differently?
Reconstruction had not been so harsh? Because I feel that as the winner, it's your responsibility to, if you're wanting to be friendly, and you've won, you beat the shit out of these people, okay? It's you have to bring them back into the fold.
Yeah. But I imagine that's super tricky, right? Because you're also trying to ensure
that they don't do it again.
Right.
Which is okay.
That's a delicate balance, right? Of you don't want to give them the opportunity to rise up and maybe fight back again. But I absolutely agree that if you're trying to build something better.
Yeah. We get into the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games was because the District
1?
Yeah, they were controlling the other districts from rising up, and all of this has parallels.
Right.
It's about humanity not doing right by humanity.
Right, that a few always have to control the many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder though if things would be different and we wouldn't have such a divide now,
or also just how societies would be different, right? You think of the South and there's you think of Louisiana, right, and Hurricane Katrina and how terrible those recovery efforts were and how those people suffered. Well, would they have been in a better place, right? Would they have been living in better situations if they had been treated better, or if they, Yeah. So interesting things to think about. I mean, it's all conjecture because there's no way to prove it. Well, there's no way to test it either. No, absolutely. I just love that we get into these super...
these dicey little conversations that might make us really unpopular with people.
Or, I don't know, maybe we start having experts on.
Ooh, that could be super fun. I'd be over here with my ums and my they're all over there with their PhDs.
Let me ask you this.
So that was what I read. Cool. I'm going to go back to nuclear war at some point. And I'm really excited to get into my buddy read.
Yeah, me too. I need to finish Same As It Ever. Not Same As It Ever Was. Yeah, Same As It Ever Was. And then get into my buddy read. Oh, and then the villain book 2.
Oh, yeah. I really want to read that.
I know.
Even though, oh my God, come on now. What? These people. Like, I remember, like, I was reading book 1, and they're cute.
I mean, you just have to take it for what it is, right? Which is what we talked about before. It's entertaining, and they're funny.
They are entertaining. Yeah. It is fun. It is a fun book. Cute. It's a cute little gory, nasty book.
Well, on that note, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Happy reading.
Bye.
Bye.